kind of a synchronistic development path, so to speak. A lot of things fall into place at the right time, and here we are, you know.
Yeah, definitely, and it all ties in as well. It all relates.
Yes. So, Karen, what do you think? Do you think we should begin to talk a little bit about some of the 5 people that you picked out from the book?
Yeah, go for it.
Yes, and why don't we begin talk a little bit about David Spangler? Tell us a little bit of background on him, if you will, and why you chose to interview or write about him.
David Spangler was recommended to me by R.J. Stewart, and I just thought, he's got like a connection with Findhorn in Scotland, and he just got lovely energy, and I liked what he said, so that's why I chose him. He's so he's so down to earth and everything he says, you know, and pretty much what I've just been saying, you know, like anything from the smallest pebble to a tree or a bird or even our sofas
Right.
can be a guide. So I just love that, you know. And also I liked what he said in his biography, which was he's admittedly fond of chocolate and games, but not necessarily in that order. I thought that was fabulous. But yeah, I mean, you know, like he says, there are no masters or followers on the inner planes, and he sees it as a, you know, co-equal partnership, which is a very important thing. You know, you don't want to be giving your power away, or kind of like worshipping an energy that you don't really you can't see or can't perceive. And, you know, like he says, the same principles that get us into trouble with ordinary human contacts, and also that give us wonderful relationships that are sort of co-creative and mutually empowering, also apply to our contacts with the inner realms as well.
Mm.
So it's, you know, it's the same deal really as we have in this world, is in other dimensions too. You know, or as he says, it's hard for anyone to protect us from ourselves, and that our own motives play an important role, which I think is a very important point. Yeah.
I'm reading here, one of David's books include Reimagination of the World, a critique of the New Age science and popular culture, a book that he co-authored with William Irving Thompson. I mean, is he? Does he come from an approach where he criticized a lot of the New Age movement? Is that correct as well?
I don't know really. I mean, I haven't actually read that book, so I can't comment on that. But no, I just really resonate with how he sees it, and because he is so grounded and he's so, you know, just completely kind of just common sense really. He uses his common sense, and everything he said, it just resonated with me. You know, like when you hear something someone says and you just feel it's right, you know it's right, not from your head, but you just feel it. It makes sense.
Yes.
See? Yeah.
Well, it's again, I think it goes back to the self, to your own journey and to your own. It basically is what you need to hear at that particular point to realize something about yourself or what have you, and that is obviously an important part of the journey, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So, what more can you say about David? Did you meet him personally when you approached him for the book?
No, but I will be, because he's going to be at the Soul Companions Wisdom Keepers Gathering in the US in November, that I'm putting on, and so I really look forward to meeting him, because he was great. He's very supportive. He's brilliant. Yeah, so no, I didn't meet him, and I didn't actually interview David. I did via email, but every answer he gave me back was just so perfect. And I didn't really need to do anything with it. You might as well have just written an essay and given it to me. It was just perfect, really. So, I did a bit of editing of what he wrote, not much. Yeah.
Yes. We have let's see here, Lakota elder, so to speak, a guy called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correct, and you can correct me on that, of course, Teokassin, Ghost Horse. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think you say it, Teokassin.
Teokassin, okay, right.
Yeah.
Tell us about him.
He's fab. Simon Buxton recommended him to me, and specifically for the Star Nations wisdom that he teaches or that he knows of, and he's just great. I mean, I interviewed him, I phoned him, so it was over the phone job, and he's just so wise. He's got an awful lot of myths and legends and in the Lakota tradition that just absolutely make perfect sense. What does he say? I want to read this to you, right? This makes perfect sense to me. We are all born metaphysical thinkers and metaphorical thinkers. We are all born with dreams, visions and intuition that have been blocked from humans by teaching rational thought, objectifying things and denoting them as inanimate. This programming takes away our intuition, dreams and visions and gets in the way of spirit so that we understand less and less about the spirit world, minimizing what spirit really is and turning everything into religiosity. I just think that's incredibly profound understanding of the world, really. And again, like a lot of what he says, he talks a lot about language and how language separates us from spirit. Like the words we speak, they carry energy.
Yes.
My partner says that's why we've got spelling.
Yeah, indeed.
Spelling, these spells we have. It's a challenge to speak of anything like this in the English language. And why? And it's just, like Teokassin says, it's a language of separation and of divisions and war is the English language. And, a lot of it kind of ties in, I feel as well, pretty much everything that Teokassin Ghost Horse said tied in a lot with what Michael Tsarian's been saying, for example, And, there's a lot about language that Michael Tsarian goes into that I find totally fascinating, and the link with our ancient languages and our connection with our indigenous roots and the language. And really, I live in Wales, and the Welsh language, again, is something completely different.
Yes.
So it's quite interesting, really. It is such a cultural thing, like I said, and with dealings with spirit. And if you're unfortunate enough to grow up in an English-speaking country, I think it makes it all the more difficult, really, because, like I said earlier, we have no indigenous elders.
Do you think that the English language, in that sense, then, have been excluding a lot of, or haven't, in a way, actually never incorporated certain terminology to explain certain, events or even, the type of encounters that you're talking about, for instance? Do you think that the English language is lacking in that sense?
I think it's been deliberately twisted to kind of further kind of confound us, really, and confuse us. And, like the roots of words, like, you look at the roots of words and their true meanings, and, it's just totally different. Like, I don't know if this is right, because other people have since corrected me. But in the book, Tiokasan Ghostal says that our word animal means bad spirit.
Mm-hmm.
In the Latin,
really?
Ani, but that's anima, isn't it, you see?
Yeah.
But Ani, if this is what he says, and mal meaning bad. And that's, like little things like that where you think, God, I hadn't really thought about it before. We don't really think about it. We're given these words, this spelling, and we just go through our lives using these words willy-nilly without really feeling the energy of those words or what they're really about. So,
right.
yeah.
Well, I see what you mean. It's an intent by potentially those who created, so to speak, the language, the English language. It's a fairly recent one in that sense, and I think that actually ties together potentially a lot with religion as well, and the church and the kind of the disconnect between nature and also the spirit world in that sense, or a part of the spirit world at least, and that might definitely have been a conscious act in that sense to make this, as you're mentioning, create this very rational and kind of an objective, if you will, approach to life and the experience that we're having here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, as well, another thing he says, Tiokasan, he says that not many people, all of his brothers, they don't know how to speak Lakota. But, he was lucky he listened to the language as he was growing up, and he can. And like he says, it's a language of the stars. And by that, basically, Lakota, it's a language of the stars. I don't really know how to explain it, and I think that's just a problem. I haven't got the English words, really.
Right.
To convey what that means, but I feel it, I feel what it means.
Well, the Hopi Indians, for instance, they talk about the Kachina, and we could term it as a race from another place or what have you. It might be something else that they're referring to as well. Of course, we don't know that at this point, but I think that in your book, it under this passage of Ghost Horse, he talks about the connection between the Pleiades. That's something that continuously seems to be coming up, so to speak, in this genre, if you will. Do you have any more of that, or why is there a connection between the ancient people of America and the certain constellations in the sky? Any theories about that?
Well, I don't know. Tiokasan said to me that in his myths that they originate from the Pleiades, and they basically came down to Earth, and they had to hide underground in caves. I don't know for how long, until the Earth was finished, he said, because it wasn't ready. And then when it was, they came out and they learned from the animals that they met. They were the first beings that they encountered, who showed them basically how to live in harmony with the Earth, and that's where the kind of power animal thing comes from. That kind of initial contact with other beings on the planet. He told me quite a lot of things, actually, things that didn't go in the book as well, such as that they've got myths where there are dinosaurs and people walking hand by hand.
Yes.
And I believe that too. And basically all of our history is just a load of rubbish, isn't it? What you're taught at school and everything, it really is absolutely disgusting, I think. And it's nice to talk to him because he's not coming from that kind of overeducated point of view where he's had a load of rubbish rammed down his throat, or I'm sure he has to some degree. But he's got his myths, he's got his legends.
Right.